Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 124 today. It's Friday, October 14th. I'm your host, Kellen. With me, Tim. Tim, say hi.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here, as always.
So on today's episode, we have, well, it's kind of sad news. The Galaxy Note 7 is officially dead. It's not coming back. It's been discontinued. Samsung stopped production on it. So we want to talk quite a bit about that, actually, and sort of just recap that whole scenario and where we go from here and things like that. We also just want to remind you that the Pixel phones from Google, they launch next week, which is kind of crazy to think like those are already launching and LG can't get its end of year flagship out, which was announced like a month and a half ago. Android 7.1 now official. We got some good news there. Tim reviewed the Honor 8 this week on YouTube. Another video review from us, so please be sure to check that out. Project Fi news. Amazon has a new music service. Verizon has new data services. There's quite a bit going on, actually. And I was a little worried when we were preparing for the show there wasn't going to be much. But all right, so let's go Note 7 here. Galaxy Note 7. Well, I guess I could even rewind back. So we did a show did we do one last Friday or was it last Wednesday? When did we do the special Pixel show? Was that last Wednesday? No, when did Google announce these things? Yeah, it must have been.
It must have been.
It was last week. It's so crazy that they announced as of last week and it's already going to be available next Friday. I know it's a 2-week gap, but like that's
the way it needs to be, though.
Yes. It is. So anyway, we did a midweek show. And so then by Friday, we didn't do another show. But as Friday rolled around and then the weekend rolled around, we started getting these reports that replacement Galaxy Note 7s were catching fire, exploding. I think the scariest one still is Southwest Airline. People board this plane, dude's fire, supposedly turns it off, right? Isn't the story? He turns it off, puts it in his pocket, and his pocket started heating up or something like that.
That's the story.
That's the story. So pulls it out, throws it on the ground, and catches fire. At least he starts smoking, right? And they deboard the plane. I think they canceled the flight, didn't they? And then moved people to new ones. It's scary as hell because that could have happened while the plane was in air. Which is Samsung, it's been a disaster for them. That could have been like the ultimate disaster. Anyways, after that happened, a couple more reports. One burned a teenage girl's hand while she was using it. The other one, middle of the night, dude woke up with his phone smoking all over his room, went to the hospital. There's been other reports. You guys get the idea. So we reported on those Monday morning or Sunday, and then Monday morning as reports then started surfacing that maybe Samsung was halting production. And sure enough, I think by the end of Monday, they had halted production, and then that evening had essentially killed the phone. I think they sent an initial statement maybe to Washington or Wall Street Journal, I believe. And then they confirmed the quote to everyone and then released a statement the next day and said, yeah, stopped production completely, and now they're actually calling it a discontinuation of the phone. So it's dead.
Where do you go, really? I mean, after a recall and then replacements start having issues, especially after you had the CEO or the president of Samsung America do a formal video apology. We're sorry. Yeah. We promise these are safe to use, verified by a third party. These are good. No one's going to die. And then unfortunately, the phones start blowing up again. There's no coming back from that, at least for the Note 7, right? Like, I don't think Samsung's dead or anything like that. But for the Note 7, that's dead. You can't come back from that, at least in the eyes of an American consumer, right?
So I mean, no way they should go third recall or bring it back one more try. No, third time's the charm.
No, I think it's over. I think it's safe to say it's over because now, no matter if you have a second replacement or anything like that,
there's zero trust.
Yeah, the zero trust. We live in a society of fear, right? So every time you board a plane, your flight attendant is going to say, oh, is that a Note 7? Yeah, sorry, that's not coming on this flight, or something like that. So, and even now, you get on a flight, doesn't matter if it's Southwest or Alaska or Virgin, they ask you, if you got a Note 7, that's a no-no. So
yeah, then that's probably not going to stop for a while because this is obviously now a second recall. People still have these phones, need to be notified. And Samsung said they're going to reach out through social media channels for people, go through carriers to push out messages to these phones, things like that. But Yeah, I think the CPSC said that including the initial 1 million that were recalled, we're at 1.9 million. So basically 900,000 new units. I don't know that all of those were back in the wild, but we could be talking, well, Samsung said that I think within the first couple of days that like 50, 60% or something had already exchanged. So we're talking hundreds of thousands of these already back in the wild. So yeah, you're going to hear those announcements every time you jump on a plane. Samsung's going to be pinging your phone. This isn't like necessarily over today. It's we still got some ways to go before these are all gone.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But then you have the people who hold out, right? And they say, no, I'm not going to return my Note 7. I'm going to keep using it because some feature that it has is something I desperately need, like an iris scanner or something. We actually got a question in the chat. It says, Kellen and Tim, what do you think about anyone keeping the Note 7? And that's actually a interesting question. Sorry, I got dogs barking all over the place. But
They're mad at the Note 7.
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea to hold on to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that you're doing anything illegal or wrong or anything, but I think for your own safety, maybe your family's safety, or if you don't want, imagine the possibility of waking up from a beautiful night's rest and your bedroom is filled with smoke.
Right.
That's something that no one wants. Yeah. And if Samsung thinks it's the right thing to do to recall these devices, that means there's probably an issue that you may want to be aware of. So I think just turn it back in, get your refund, get an exchange, or do whatever you can. Just get a new phone. There's plenty of other good phones out there. You got Pixel phones coming. You've got the S7 or S7 Edge. They're all good. So plenty of other options out there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any positive to keeping your Note 7. You don't know if yours is not going to. So I think they're up to almost 100 reported cases since the first recall total between the two, I guess I should say. So that's a pretty small number, but look, a dude jumped on a plane and his phone caught fire. You don't want to be the guy that's in air on a plane, on a bus, driving your own car down the street in a public area. I mean, this is pretty serious stuff. And sure, the chances are really, really slim of your Note 7 catching fire, but like, why take the risk? Like, it sucks. The Note 7 is an amazing phone. Like, some of those phones, like, I kind of want to use right now, but it's just not worth like keeping it around. It's not worth destroying your property, other people's property, whatever. It's just get rid of the damn thing at this point.
Yeah, if you're keeping the device, you can also expect to never see software support or any type of support from Samsung. Why on earth would they support a device that's been recalled and has been discontinued? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, you're never going to see an update. It's
no Nougat, no security update. So the next big virus or malware scare for Android, you're out of luck, man.
Yeah, if you need a Note, just get a cheap Note 5 for now or something until maybe something else Samsung does comes along. But
or at least get an S7 so it's like water resistant. Do something.
Yeah, really. And if you do exchange your Note 7 for another Samsung phone, Samsung's giving out $100 bill credits. So they are giving you something. If you do get another Samsung phone. No matter what, even if you get another phone or get a refund, they're also handing out $25 bill credits just for taking your phone back and dealing with all this crap. But if you get another Samsung phone, they'll give you $100. All right, so let's talk about replacements, though. We've got two things this week. We wrote up a list that we thought might be good choices for people, and then we also just polled everyone on the site to see what they thought about it. So our choices are, if you're looking for a replacement, because obviously you own a Note 7, you need to find a replacement. I said the obvious choice is the Galaxy S7 Edge. Now, sure, it's 7 months old or something now, which is kind of old in smartphone terms, but it's essentially the same phone, just no pen, no USB Type-C, no iris scanner, and then the software is certainly a little bit older. Like the new version of TouchWiz on the Note 7 is pretty good, and it's better than it is on the S7 Edge. Hopefully now we just get that software experience on the S7 Edge, but it's kind of the same phone. You have dual edge display. You actually have a little bit bigger battery, same camera, water resistance, SD card, Snapdragon 820. It's not like the Note 7 had an 821 or some other processor. It had the same processor. So kind of threw out S7 Edge. If you don't want to go Samsung and you want to go with just a newer phone, we threw out the LG V20 because it's just, as we like to joke about, it's filled with stuff and things because it's got a DAC and it's got hi-fi recording video and audio. It's metal and fancy and has dual cameras and all that. Not a lot
And
of
it's
resistance.
big.
And it's huge. Yeah, it's 5.7 inch, but I think it's even bigger than the Note 7. Like the whole body's just bigger.
Right.
We also threw out the Pixel XL. So Google's phone comes out next Friday, which we mentioned. The XL is the bigger version, so it's slightly smaller in the display department than Note 7. No water resistance, no pen. Obviously, it's Google's version of Android. It's not TouchWiz, but it's just another bigger phone. And it's also worth considering just because Google's really seeming to be taking these serious more than Nexus phones and all of that. So I don't know. What I mean, if you had a Note 7 and you were exchanging it, what would you get?
Really good question. Just me being me, I'd have to go Pixel XL, right?
I think I would too. Yeah.
I would just have to. However, considering the phone isn't out yet, say I didn't want to like wait for a new phone, or say I couldn't wait for a new phone, say I need a new phone like today, I would have to go S7 Edge, or maybe V20 is not even out, right?
Oh, yeah. We got 2 weeks for that.
Yeah. So I guess I'd have to go S7 or S7 Edge. I know a lot of people you either love the S7 Edge or hate it. You sort of have to get used to it in terms of like how the Edge panel works. I saw someone mention the false inputs, and yeah, like that does happen, but you just sort of, you get used to it and just learn how to use it without accidentally tapping the display. But if it was me, I'd go S7 Edge. It's a really nice phone. Still got an awesome camera, fantastic display. Battery life is okay. Like on all Samsung devices, like it's not going to blow you away, but it's okay. And but yeah, it's just so comparable to the Note 7 that if what you really liked on the Note 7, it is available in another device from Samsung. So plus you're getting $100.
If you swap out your Note 7 for an S7 Edge, you get an S7 Edge, which is a very, very similar phone, and an extra $100 off it, basically.
Yeah, that's not too shabby. However, if you do have time to wait, I would go XL. Yes, the XL is definitely missing a few things that were available on the Note 7: water resistance, expandable storage. There's like an iris scanner, of course. I could probably go on a few days, but Pixel XL, I think it's going to be a really nice phone. I still have yet to even hold one, but one day soon, I hope. Once those orders ship out, I'll have one, and I'll come to realize that this is the phone that I've always wanted Google to build, et cetera, et cetera. So either XL or S7 Edge for me personally.
Yeah, that's probably where I'd go. I'd say see if you can hold off with some sort of in-betweener phone for a week until the XL comes out. Although it's tough to get it right now. It's sold out on the Google store, so you might be sort of screwed. You could always go buy the Verizon version at retail because it's unlocked. It works everywhere, and just use it on whatever carrier you're on if you're not on Verizon.
Yeah.
But then S7, or what do you do? Go trade out for an S7 Edge, get the $100, then sell the S7 Edge because you just made $100, and then go get a
pure
Pixel
profit.
XL. Yeah. The V20 I think is a pretty good choice because I feel like Note 7 owners, at least initially, the Note 7 was like the tinkerer's phone, right? Because it had a pen and it had all these other like sort of features and gadgets that no one else had. And I feel like the V20 is kind of pushing that way now. But yeah, the problem is the V20, we're still 2 weeks from the V20 getting here, which is insane. So it's still sitting over here. I have this pre-production unit that LG says I can't review. And I've had that since September 6th. I've had it for over a month, and the phone you still can't buy. I stopped using it because I was like, well, if I can't review this thing, I might as well use other phones and do it. That's why I did that Moto Z Play review, because the V20, it's what good does it do for me to test a pre-production unit for a month and a half? So V20s, I think, will be a good choice for some people. I think people will really like it, but yeah, we still got 2 weeks to go. And that if you want to exchange your Note 7 right now, which you should, what are you going to do for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I tried to allude to this point in my Honor 8 review, but considering that devices that are priced competitively, like Axon 7, Honor 8, OnePlus 3, if you don't want to go $600, $700, $800 flagship device, you could get one of these sort of mid-range flagship devices, and those will last you just fine. You could actually just try something new. It's never wrong to maybe change your perspective up a little bit in terms of like Android and what you're using. Like the Honor A is such a completely different experience from any other phone that I've used genuinely for a couple of weeks. So, and it's good to sort of use that and then apply it towards, say, like what I love most about stock Android versus EMUI from Honor and Huawei. So getting a cheaper phone, maybe not the worst idea ever. And you could always go like on Swappa or another site like that and maybe find just a pre-owned phone that you like and that's like super cheap. That might be good too. Not a
You could
terrible
always go
option.
on Amazon and buy the that ad filled Moto G4 for
For like not,
$125 or
yeah,
whatever that is.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
just to kill a week or two if you really need something. Yeah.
Then just return it.
Someone asked in the chat, does anyone remember the OnePlus 3? I still think the OnePlus 3 is a good phone. The problem with the OnePlus 3 is it's T-Mobile or AT&T. It's not Verizon. It's not Sprint. It's one of those phones. When we threw out replacement options, we were kind of going like, what phone can everyone get? And not everyone can get that phone. So I think that was sort of my thinking there.
Yeah. I liked the OnePlus 3, but there was something about it, and I just can't remember right off because it feels like it was so long ago. But there was something about the OnePlus 3 that I really just didn't like, so I stopped using it. It's possible maybe because it wasn't water resistant.
What drove you nuts the most, I think, was the software buttons. The back button never getting
Oh, that's
fixed.
right. Thank
It
you.
drove you so nuts. I still don't know if that's fixed, by the way. I haven't used it in a while.
Oh man. So yeah, I'm gonna have to boot up that phone, see if there's a update available to see if they fix the on-screen buttons. Man, that's right. Oh man, thank you.
It's funny how
What a
something tiny
nightmare.
like that can just ruin an experience.
Exactly, because I didn't like the capacitive buttons on the OnePlus 3. I mean, I'm just so, I guess, so used to on-screen buttons, except for when I'm using Samsung devices for some reason. Like I can use them just fine, maybe because they're just more sensitive.
Yeah.
But the on-screen buttons on the OnePlus 3, the back button just would not work. And for me, obviously, that's an issue. So I just gave up on that phone completely. I mean, they sent out a couple of updates since I had it, and it never fixed it. So I think I
Never
just
did.
ditched it completely, and I wrote off OnePlus 3 completely, which I still think is the right decision.
OnePlus 3 is fine, but I would say the S7 Edge, V20, and Pixel are all better phones. Maybe not as affordable, but they're just all better phones. So
Sure, and so I just saw someone in the chat mentioned OnePlus 3 is pretty good. It's not mid-range. I think we need to work on our definitions, like our universal definitions of what mid-range means now. I would not label the OnePlus 3 as mid-range,
mm-mm.
but it's certainly not like top tier, I guess. But then, so Pixel devices from Google are sort of screwing with what the definition of top tier, like flagship, would be, because Samsung's definition is so much different from Google's, right? I mean, Samsung throws in everything you could
Everything.
imagine, and water resistance and expandable storage. So that would have to be the top of the top, right? But then these
Oh, yeah.
Pixel and XL, they're priced nearly the same as these devices from Samsung, yet they lack a lot of features. So there's a lot of ambiguity going on between top tier, high end, and mid range devices, I think. And when you got these other companies like Honor, ZTE, OnePlus putting out really good phones for inexpensive prices, then that really screws with the way I think we as consumers sort of label devices, mid range, high end, etc.
Yeah, well, Samsung screwed it all up, right? Because we do compare every single flagship to Samsung now. Like I want to
Right.
say we ripped Moto Z for pricing. I want to say we maybe even ripped LG G5 on pricing. And maybe it's just not fair to these other companies because they can't seem to keep up with what Samsung's doing. they're all great phones, but what Samsung is doing at the price point for the most part is just, well, no one's been able to match it. So it's kind of unfair, but that's just the way it is. So we ran a poll asking you guys what you thought. And I think for the most part, we got some agreement. I will say I was a little surprised. The top vote getter, and this is, remember, after a week of everyone being, well, at least we thought everyone was really, really pissed about what Google was doing with Pixel. 45% of our readers said if they were swapping the Note 7 out, they would go Pixel or Pixel XL. And then in second place was the S7 or S7 Edge at 17%. And then 12% actually are completely lost their minds and said the iPhone 7. And then another 10% said V20. So our readers, well, I sent a tweet out earlier in the week that said, oh, it looks like that was a vocal minority last week trashing all over the Pixel because
good job.
Because people clearly are going to buy the Pixel or Pixel XL. Like, we're talking Note 7 owners that have to ditch their phone and they have to choose something. And of our readers anyway, that's a pretty big percentage. I can't say I blame them. I think the Pixel phone, I tried to make an argument last week why these people should stop freaking out so much about the price. And, I probably failed in that argument, but I just think they're going to be good phones. And maybe it is just because we shouldn't compare everything to what Samsung does. Or maybe we should, and everyone should get better. Either way, people are clearly on board with Pixel at this point, which is a little surprising.
Yeah, I mean, if Google or someone, I don't really care which. If it was HTC or LG, I really wouldn't care. Give me a super high-end device with everything: micro SD, water resistance, etc., etc. Give me that with stock Android. Like, just try it. Just try it and see what happens. Maybe throw on a couple of like additional apps or a suite of features or something, but don't take away from the pure essence that is Android. Oh my God, I sound totally new age right now. But no skin, just like cut the skin, none of that stuff.
If and the Pixel and Pixel XL had water resistance, are you just fully on board? You don't care anymore,
dude. Okay. Right? Because, well, I don't know if like maybe you live in somewhere where it doesn't rain so much, but here in the Pacific Northwest, we're about to get hammered with like 4 months of rain. And so I want to be able to take my device out and just still use it and not even have to worry about it. Now with the Pixel phones, I will have to probably worry about it since it's only IP53. So, and since rain comes at like a 90 degree angle and not 60 degree, I have to be really cautious. It's so ridiculous. Just give me some. And I think you mentioned this before. If these OEMs would ship out a phone, and maybe when you first boot it up, say you want the TouchWiz Samsung experience or you want that stock Android experience, why not give us a choice? I don't think it would kill them completely to give us a choice. I mean, if anything, it would speed up the support time on their end, right? They don't have to mess with sending out TouchWiz updates or whatever. I don't know.
They still do have to get, if they did that right, they would still have to support stock Android. It would be easier to support, but they still have to make it sure it works on their phone and all that. So then they are supporting two things, but I just wish they would give us a choice.
Yeah, I would pay for a premium device running Android, and I think the Pixel devices are premium. Again, I can't really say because I've never felt one. Yeah. But I mean, on paper, they look premium, sure. But they're just missing a couple of things that would really put them over the edge in terms of like a true flagship device. That may be a hard comment, but I think water resistance this day and age is sort of a necessity. I mean, everyone else is doing it.
Well, Samsung and Apple are doing it. No one else is really doing it still.
Samsung and Apple are all that really...
They're all that really
matter. You know, I mean, if other companies were selling phones, I sort of think about LG. LG has really gone downhill. Like the G3, I thought was huge. Like a lot of people liked the G3, but then the G4, not as popular. G5, certainly not as popular. And LG just sort of...
G5 got 0% in that poll we just ran on what would you replace, which was 54 votes, but that didn't even muster up to 1%.
Exactly. So as you can see, I mean, LG really needs to like write the direction of like where they're heading. They maybe need to rethink the whole modular friends idea. And I don't know. I think stock Android could definitely help them though, if they want to go that route.
Okay. So, anyways, those are replacement options, right? We
Sure.
shared ours. You guys obviously said Pixel is probably where you're going, or S7, S7 Edge, which is pretty great. And we even threw in a something else altogether, and it just didn't get very many votes. So clearly, people aren't looking for ZTE Axons and Honor 8s. People aren't really going that route. They're going for those big high end flagships. Because look, Note 7 owners want the best of the best. That's kind of always what I feel like the Note line has brought, the best of the best plus some. And so these people aren't going to go buy an Honor 8, right? They're not going to buy a Moto Z Play. Like, they're not going to really buy a budget phone. They want the best. So they're going Pixel, it looks like.
Yeah. Jay is asking if there's any HTC branding on Pixel devices, and that is a no-go. I actually spoke with HTC's global senior communications director, whatever, on Twitter, and he said HTC did not do this deal for like any marketing purposes or anything like that. I mean, it's purely for them to produce devices and sell them via Google. So they don't care about the marketing aspect at all.
Right. So if you think of Apple and they use Foxconn to produce all their stuff, just think of HTC as Google's Foxconn right now. The phones do on the bottom say made in Taiwan. Obviously, HTC's in Taiwan. That's the only way you really know. But just think of it like that. HTC is basically Foxconn for Google.
Yeah. Russell says, I heard the Pixel feels super cheap. You want to touch on that, Kellen? I know you were at the event and held the Pixels. Did you think they were cheap feeling?
No, not at all. They're metal phones. They're built by HTC. They're like, if you pick up a
HTC 10,
they feel similar to that. Not so, I don't want to say metally, but they didn't feel, like the HTC 10 is almost too metal, if that makes sense. Like, you pick it up and you're like, oh my God, this is metal. You run your fingernail across the back and it gives you shivers, kind of thing. These phones have a much softer feel, even though they are metal. Like, they're metal. There's a good weight to them, but they feel not so rugged, I guess. So industrial, maybe. They just feel a little more refined. Almost, I don't want to say like an iPhone, but they, in a way, feel that way. All right, let's finish up Note though before we start talking more Pixel stuff.
All right, I forgot.
So Note brand, should Samsung kill the Note brand?
Oh, absolutely not, dude. The Note 8 is going to be sweet. It's going to have a 4K display, 2 S Pens, because they're going to have so many left over. They're going to like throw in an extra S Pen. No, I don't think they should kill off the Note 8.
That's the innovation.
Dual S Pen, like maybe double-ended or something.
They're like dual S Pens that are your VR controllers when you're using Gear VR.
That would be sweet. But yeah, no, I don't think the Note brand should go away. I mean, they've already built it up, right? They've got 7 years into it, or no, technically 6 years into it. So don't kill it off just because one was bad. I mean, you don't throw away a whole bushel of apples because one is rotten, right? So that makes no sense. Anyway, Note 8 needs to happen, and it needs to happen not relatively soon, right? I see a lot of people saying, oh, do they push up the launch of the Note 8?
Skip a year? They can't. It's their second half of the year device.
Exactly. Like, that's their big H2 money maker after the S7 and now the S7 Edge, or however they're doing it. Anyway, I don't think they should kill off the Note brands. It's too good. It's too good.
It's a tough situation. I don't know where I feel really, because part of me goes like you. It's way too important of a brand. People love Note. I know right now everyone's scared of Note.
Right.
But it was the phone that started an entire new sort of category of phones, right? The big phone, the oversized phone. And they've sold millions upon millions upon millions of these things. And people love them. I mean, they said the Note 7, when it kicked off, right? Didn't they sell more or have more pre-orders than even their Galaxy S line, like for this one in particular? So
this was huge.
Yeah, it's so I don't know that they should kill it, but next year, every single person is going to say, "Here's the Note 8. It's probably a bomb." You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be in your mind. Like, so people, especially like, a-hole journos like us, like we're like, well, not you and I necessarily, but like half the tech media is going to write, oh, the Note 8's here. I bet it blows up, and like, so that's going to be the stories, like whether or not the Note 8 blows up rather than. So I don't know if Samsung can deal with that, is what I'm saying.
So what Samsung does is they release a phone. They pray that it doesn't explode, and it's called the Note 8, and it's just the best phone of the year. And every site can't deny that it's Android phone of the year. That's what you do. You come back with something bigger, better, stronger, faster. And
Sign Kanye.
yep, sign Kanye. Get him to market the phone for you because he knows how to market stuff. But Note 8 needs to be a thing. I think you just this is Samsung's first like true international disaster, at least that I'm aware of, right? And I think the way they've handled this recall is fine. Like I don't think they've done a bad job. I think that they've kept my respect. Like I don't see them doing anything shady or any. I mean, they really seem to be what's out there and doing good. So I think they just need to come back with the Note 8. Don't kill it. Sure, like wait. I mean, just wait another year, or whatever, because we've got S8 coming, S8 Edge, maybe. I mean, we don't know that's confirmed, but it's confirmed.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
So then after that, just come back with the Note 8. I'm sure you're gonna lose a ton of money, but you're Samsung. You've got billions upon billions of dollars. It's no big deal. So just
as long as they get so if they do S8 and S8 Edge again, and those go off successfully without blowing up, and you would imagine their manufacturing processes are going to be even crazier than ever to make sure it doesn't happen again, right? So they push those out, assuming those are successful, except you have to remember that as those launch, every time someone's phone malfunctions, it's going to be, oh, another Samsung bomb. Like it's going to be embarrassing. I can tell you right now, I'm already thinking about the piece I'm going to write when the S8 launches. It says, shut up media. Let's not just start assuming everything is the next Samsung bomb. It's getting tired and old and I'm sick of it kind of thing. But if they launch S8 and Edge and they're successful and they don't have an exploding problem, then the Note 8, maybe it will be a reduced story about it blowing up. Or maybe as long as it doesn't after a month, it's fine and then everyone forgets about it. It probably isn't the best idea to just completely kill it, but I'm sure they're considering it.
The S7 and S7 Edge are fine. They aren't exploding, at least to my knowledge. No one else's knowledge, and they're fine. There's something about the Note 8, and I'm pretty sure they've narrowed it down to being how the battery is connecting to the device. It's short wiring or whatever. So clearly just a design flaw. That's something that can get fixed. And I don't expect Samsung to release any more bombs. It's so stupid that we even have to like talk about this, right? Like smartphones blowing up. It's such a crappy situation. But I don't think that Samsung will allow that to happen again. I mean, if they do, that's bad on them, dude. But I just don't see them having to kill off an entire brand that's almost a decade old. Well, it's like a little over 5 years old. But the fact is, it's too important to them, I think, to just kill it off, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I think I'm kind of with you. I don't think they should kill the Note brand. I think the next year is going to be a little tough and you're going to have to deal with all the dipshit reports that want to make jokes about everyone's Samsung phone being a bomb, but you go through next year. And as long as you don't have any problems, you're through it and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And let them do it. Right. I just saw the newest thing. All Galaxy Note 7 devices are now banned from US flights. That's cool. So don't take your Note 7 on any flight at all now.
Well,
anyway,
you shouldn't, right?
Well, no, you shouldn't. But now it's official, apparently. The FAA will be like, and the TSA is going to be putting the gloves on and trying to find your Note 7. Yeah, don't kill the brand. This is just one bad phone, obviously, and bad replacement phones. I mean, the real crappy part is that Tim Baxter does that video apology. He's like so like heartfelt about it. Like, I'm sorry, we care about you and your family, and we don't want you burning. And we promise these new phones are safe. We got a third party to verify it, confirm it, and then they started blowing up. And it's sort of like what you would expect from like BP Oil or Exxon. Like, you know, we're sorry that we keep having oil spills and like killing all these animals. Like, we're sorry, won't happen again. But then it just kind of keeps happening, and you're like, oh, come on, dude, this is embarrassing.
It's so unfair. I don't think Tim meant to like lead people the wrong way. I think he actually thought they had fixed it, and clearly they just hadn't.
Oh, absolutely. But I do wish there was a bit more transparency from Samsung's end. Is like, okay, what was wrong with these devices, and what do you think is okay with these replacement devices? Like, what's different about them? Because in actuality, it appears nothing changed at all. These phones are still dangerous. So,
Yeah, it would
what
be nice if they would, as they're because they're still apparently investigating it, right? They haven't
investigating?
really
Yeah,
said much. It would be nice if this thing, when they get done with it, if they actually do tell everyone, like, we figured out the problem, it's a manufacturing issue, this is the precise deal, and then we can know, and then they can say, like, obviously we're going to change the way we implement this going forward so it doesn't have something. But I would agree that it would be nice if they would actually tell us, because how many reports have you also seen this week that say, like, Samsung still doesn't know what's causing these phones to explode? I've seen a bunch
right.
of those. And I think I think we sort of deserve to know at this point, like, what the problem is, so that we all feel safer when we buy the next Samsung phone.
Yeah, I like Dan's comment in the chat. It says a TSA would say, "Sir, do you have any knives, guns, Galaxy Note 7s?" Like that's funny. And like so now Samsung gets to be the butt of all of our jokes,
Oh
and
yeah,
and they totally deserve it, right? But
I mean, yeah, they're the ones that made these phones to blow up.
yeah, but once new phones come out, I know it's the internet and things live on forever, but until an S8 Edge, Note 8 come out and explode, you got to give Samsung benefit of the doubt that they fixed the problem. So it's not like any of the future phones are announced, right? So who knows what's happening, but
I'm telling you, week one,
week one,
somebody's gonna report that their brand new S8 caught fire
oh,
while they were
sure.
doing something, and it'll be a complete garbage report. But
Yeah.
everyone will run the headline like, Samsung's at it again,
Yeah, you'd
exploding
have to.
phones.
And that's the problem. I think I wrote. I mean, this is for everyone, obviously not for you, but everyone listening. I wrote an opinion piece talking about how I thought it was a weird coincidence that a lot of reports popped up within the same week of each other about these replacement devices. Right? Maybe someone thought it would be a good idea to try and blackmail Samsung. Like, okay, maybe he's gonna make it look like a phone exploded and maybe hurt someone, and you try and cash in on that, and Samsung wants to do damage control, so they're like, okay, hold on, like maybe we can like settle with this guy, he won't go to the press. Of course I don't think Samsung's going to do that, but people on the internet may think that that would be a good idea. However, I don't want to come off like an insensitive jerk who thinks that everyone is a liar, because that's not the case, but I just thought it was very fishy that all of a sudden all these reports are popping up from different corners of the US saying that, oh, my phone blew up, or my daughter got hurt while playing with her replacement Note 7. Like, I don't know any young 13-year-old who has a Note 7 device. Seems odd. But I just thought it was fishy. But again, I didn't want to come off as insensitive. But you can't believe everything you hear and read on the internet.
I'm
You have
with
to
you.
be skeptical.
It's tough especially when local news outlets report on something and they take the guy at their word. And I'm like you said,
Right.
I'm with you. I don't think everyone's a liar. I just, when reports of these things come out, and I still don't know that we have any confirmations on any of these. I guess I
haven't
haven't
seen
looked
any,
back,
like, right.
but I don't know that Samsung's ever acknowledged. They just said, like, look, we think there's still a safety issue. We're going to pull this, but I know what you're saying. I too was skeptical when some of these first reports came out at the end of last week, but clearly Samsung thinks there's something serious here. They killed the phone completely. So
For sure.
all right, let's move on from Note 7. Rest in peace, little guy. Okay, so back to the Pixel. Pixel launches next week.
Yes.
And we have good news on the Pixel front. So I don't know why it took a full week, but Verizon got back to Ars Technica and talking about, actually, I don't even know if they got back to Ars Technica. I almost feel like they just reached out to share a new message. But they said that they are going to work with Google so that when software updates come out for the Pixel, the Verizon versions get them the exact same day as Google's version. So that obviously differs from what Google told us when the Pixel phones were first announced. They said, like, look, we're going to handle our unlocked version. Verizon's going to handle theirs in terms of big software updates. We'll still push monthly security patches, but Verizon's going to handle the big stuff. And everyone freaked out and was like, that means delays. But Verizon now says, no, we're not going to stand in the way. So their quote is, first and foremost, All operating system and security updates to the Pixel devices will happen in partnership with Google. In other words, when Google releases an update, Verizon phones will receive the same update at the same time, much like iOS updates. Verizon will not stand in the way of any major updates, and users will get all updates at the same time as Google. And then Google pinged Ars Technica also and said, yep, it's true. OS updates and monthly security patches will be updated on all Pixel devices, Verizon and non-Verizon versions simultaneously. So that's good news, because I think we all thought, oh, great, here goes Verizon. They're going to screw up another Google phone. Why can't Google tell them to update their phones at the same time? Why is it separate? You know, we all kind of were pissed off last week. So that's awesome news.
That's fantastic news. A lot of people were freaking out, and I don't blame them. So it's a good thing that they got that cleared up.
Yeah, I know.
I'm still
that,
sort of hesitant, though. Like, I don't trust Verizon. So.
Right. A lot of us still kind of go, good job, Verizon, but we'll believe it when we see it like 6 months from now if you're still doing it. Or I guess the monthly security stuff, Google says we're going to handle that anyway. So that'll continue to be fast. And I guess the big updates, they're only coming out quarterly. So I guess we'll see like in like June if they've held up their end of the bargain. They did say some other stuff. Well, for one thing, the bootloader on the Verizon versions is locked. If you care about bootloaders and you are into ROM thingies or whatever,
stuff and things,
yeah, you should buy the unlocked version, not from Verizon. So yeah, the bootloader is still locked. I don't care, but obviously some people do, because people have talked about bootloaders. The other thing is 3 apps install from Verizon: their Go90 app, the My Verizon app, and Verizon Messages. You can uninstall all 3 of those. They've confirmed that. So if you're worried about bloatware, it's not really coming. Those 3 apps install when you put your SIM in, and then you can uninstall them. Also, if you buy the phone from Verizon, the phone is unlocked in terms of carrier, being carrier unlocked. So you could buy it from Verizon and then take it to T-Mobile, AT&T, Sprint, wherever you want to go. And so it's actually shaping up to be a pretty good situation. Outside of people who care about bootloaders, Verizon's treating this basically like an iPhone now. At least that's what they're telling us, that they're going to treat it like an iPhone. If you buy it, you get updates, security, blah, blah, blah. There's not a bunch of bloatware, all that stuff. Making it pretty good. It's stock Android.
But yeah, they make it sound pretty good. If you're still holding off on buying, maybe wait a couple of months and see how that plays out.
That's true too. But that's exciting. Until they screw it up.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
You were going to ask me a question, I think, earlier when we were still talking about Pixel. Do you remember what it was? Yeah, I don't know either. It was right after I talked about what it felt like to hold. Somebody had a question.
I can't think of anything. If someone didn't get their question answered, feel free to shoot it in the chat and we'll try and get to it.
Yeah, we were about to answer your Pixel question earlier. Drop that back in the chat. One thing though, if you didn't get an order in early on Google Store, I believe Verizon probably still has all of them. Let me look. Maybe. Verizon's website hates my computer for some reason. So let's see. Buy Pixel. Yeah, it looks like Verizon still has everything. Everything's shipping by the 20th. All 3 colors of the regular Pixel. So you can buy it from Verizon still. The more I look back at the pictures we took of the blue one, I kind of wish now it didn't have a white front.
I think that's what everyone said, right? It clashes just a little too much. Something about like that super bright blue. What do they call it? Really blue?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it clashes a little bit. But it is I think it's cool. I kind of like that dual tone look. It's cool.
So Verizon, that's just because that's the blue. Verizon has all of them. And they all say delivery by 10/20, both XL in all sizes and regular Pixel in all sizes. So again, it is unlocked. You could buy it from Verizon and then take it to whatever carrier you want. Since Google sold out, the only thing is, yes, the bootloader is locked. blah 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 bootloaders. But yeah, on the Google Store, the Pixel XL is 100% sold out, all sizes, all colors. The regular Pixel, the only thing left is 32 gig in silver or black. Blue's gone, 128 gig gone. So.
R.I.P. Pixel. It was nice.
Paul in the chat says red Pixel would have been cool. I would agree. Maybe they'll do a red back with a black front. That'd be pretty sweet. Bring back that Nexus 5 look. Just looking to see if anybody...
Not seeing many questions popping up.
No. All right, so yeah, no questions. That's Pixel news. That's good news. If you were really, really worried about all of that stuff, that's what we wanted to hear. So, all right, so sort of interesting. This week, Google announced Android 7.1. And I say announced in sort of a weird way because last week they announced the Pixel phones and they were running 7.1, except they didn't really tell us anything about 7.1. So this week they did. They said 7.1 is official. And they actually said that the Nexus 5X, Nexus 6P, and Pixel C will get it as a developer preview before the end of this month, before the end of October. So in the next 2 weeks, it could show up next week for all we know. Android 7.1 will come to those three phones as a preview, and then it will hit stable by December. And when it goes stable, it'll go to the Nexus 6 also, the Nexus 9, any Android One devices, and then, of course, the Pixel and Pixel XL as well, whatever the newest build is. What I find, again, interesting about this is the fact that last week, Pixel XL announced, and they weren't open about any of this stuff, right? And so press had to reach out, get statements from Google, and the statement that made the rounds was that Android 7.1 is not going to come to the current Nexus devices until the end, or I should say before 2017 starts. So we all took that as, well, that could be in December, it could be November, it could be whenever, right? And sort of what pissed me off about that is the Pixel devices are okay to run 7.1, but 7.1 is not even ready until we get a preview sometime later this year. I don't know if Google heard everyone screaming and hollering about that, which they rightfully should have been screaming and hollering about that. But now all of a sudden it's coming at the end of October and then it'll be stable before December. That's just not the statement they were giving out to press there. They said, no, you'll get a preview before the end of the year. So either way, they've changed, or maybe it wasn't clearly passed along to press on that day, but we get a preview this month and then it'll go stable. And so if you want to get it, just sign up for the Android beta program and you'll get it. So what's new? Do you want to go over what's new in 7.1? Because we kind of got a changelog last week, but there's actually some decent stuff in here.
Yeah, Google definitely gave us like a nice little rundown of what's new. A lot of the changes are sort of like developer facing, so stuff you won't see like tweaks in the UI. But there is one that's a big one. It's called App Shortcuts API. It's quite similar to what Apple does with a 3D touch. So you like long press on an icon and then options for that app will pop up. It'll allow you to get into certain areas of the app without actually having to open up the beginning of the app and diving into it from there. Like, so for example, say if you long press on the camera, you could jump into a selfie mode or a video mode, or if it's a messaging app, you can jump into a certain conversation you have going on. A lot of that stuff is going to have to be baked into apps by developers, but it's an API, so it should just be like easily written right into the existing code. So no big deal there. And that's called App Shortcuts API. Gosh, what else is there?
Circular app icons.
Yeah, support for circular app icons. Hooray. Google is now Nova Launcher Prime, and they support circular icons, so you can expect to see those a lot more. Next, it's image keyboard support. So again, for apps that will support it, you can have stickers and GIFs or GIFs, excuse me, inside of keyboards and apps that support it. So again, it's something that's going to have to be built in by developers and supported applications. And I sort of I guess I talked about how this could be the beginning of Gboard for Android, but I highly doubt it. I honestly, at this time, I know when Gboard was announced, Google engineers said that they were working to bring it to Android. I just don't see that happening at this point, especially with Google Assistant and all this stuff going on. I don't think Gboard's ever coming. So I guess you could just ditch Android now and go to iOS and have Gboard if you really want it. There was also, last but not least, I think it is Storage Manager Intent. And what that does is it allows an app to take users directly into a new settings screen to clear up unused files and free up storage on devices. And I think that was about it. Yeah. Image, keyboard support. There was the app shortcuts. Again, I mean, not a lot of stuff that is like, whoa, new.
It's not
like
a massive,
different from 7. They called it in their announcement that it was incremental.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing too crazy. But
the app shortcuts for sure.
App shortcuts is awesome.
The image keyboard support, like those two things, I think are pretty big deal. The image keyboard stuff, just because we live in this internet world where you want to share pictures and stuff. I'm just glad that they built that in. But the app shortcuts, I think, will come in handy. Although, if you're an iOS user and you're in the chat, let me know if you actually use 3D Touch, because Tim and I were talking about this the other day, and I sort of get this impression, at least just from seeing random people on Twitter, sort of clown 3D Touch and that they never use it. But app shortcuts, in the couple of times I've had a chance to use them, like I thought they were pretty useful and I could see myself using them. So I'm just curious if anyone does actually use those. So yeah, 7.1. 7.1 is now official. Yeah. And you're actually going to get it before the end of the month rather than the end of the year. I don't want to come off as being so critical of Google like that, but what the problem was, when they announced these phones, they weren't clear about anything. They just were like, here's Pixel phones, and they're running a version of Android. You guys don't know that it even existed. And it's like, wait, I thought Android was open and you guys are supposed to release all this stuff. And what about Nexus phones? They're supposed to get this. And then they were kind of like, well, yeah, we're kind of just changing that, right? Like, we don't really care about Nexus. Like, we'll push it out later because our Pixel phones need it. And it rubbed me the wrong way. So, but I'm glad Google's doing it this way, because if you think about it now, they're probably going to time it close to the release of the Pixel phones. Like, I wouldn't, if the Pixel phones come out running 7.1, you have to figure that Google's probably going to release 7.1 preview around that time. I would imagine next Thursday, maybe even Friday, they'll release 7.1. So I just didn't like they just weren't being open about it. And that's kind of what Android's always been, right? Especially if you had a Nexus phone. So they seem to be trying to fix that. So
they're attempting.
All right. Honor 8. You reviewed the Honor 8 this week. Video review of it is up, so please go watch that. And give Tim and I feedback on these video reviews, because we've each done one now. We're trying to get some more video reviews up. So anyways, what do you think about the Honor 8?
The Honor 8 came away overall impressed. Like I said, there's a few huge differences between what you're going to find on the Honor 8 in terms of software than you'd find on other devices like a Nexus device, stock Android and stuff. With the Honor 8, it launches with EMUI, and not a fan. Not a fan. It's not the worst software I've ever used, but it's certainly up there just because it is so different. There's a lot of changes, especially in terms of like notifications would have to be like my biggest pain point. You'll download an app, you'll never see a notification from it. Like I recently downloaded Words with Friends after years of not playing it. My mom wanted to play me, and she would play her move, and I would just never see a notification from the app. You go into the app settings, you see that notifications are allowed. It's totally fine. You'll never see a notification from it. I have a bank that will, an app that sends me a notification every time I make a purchase. Never see notifications from it. So that's a problem. There's some app notifications work just fine. Like I get all my Gmail notifications, Hangouts notifications, Twitter notifications. But there's just some apps that I guess they wouldn't label as high priority applications that don't send notifications. Dude, what the heck? Like, and I just don't care for it. It doesn't have, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have lock screen notifications. I tried to find that, doesn't have it. I guess moving on to better areas.
Wait, no, it's so funny. Okay, so I used the P9 for a while, right? And
Right.
the phone you're using is kind of like it's the
Similar.
Honor version of the P9,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I talked with a Huawei employee the day I got it for like 20 or 30 minutes about the notification situation. I was like, why can't I get these to show up on the lock screen?
Can't
And
stand it.
why are they not showing up? All this stuff. And like he walked me through like this back end setup of some notification stuff and power feature because they shut all these things down to try to help the battery life, I believe is what they're doing. And like
It's very impressive.
he walked me through it and none of it still worked. I had to go back and continue to tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and finally got the notifications to show up. But then I was like, well, what about the lock screen? And I can't remember what I had to do, but I eventually did get them on the lock screen, but they're absolutely worthless because they don't expand on the lock screen. You can't like do anything with them. And so, yeah. Anyways, the notification situation on those phones is so insanely terrible. And I complained about it when I did like a brief write up of the P9. And I had a few people go, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any of those issues. And I'm like, I can't just have made this up. I talked to a Huawei person about it and you just confirmed it on another phone. This has been months. So
it's really frustrating. So that for me was like the big pain area. As for good stuff, performance is nice and snappy again, probably because they're killing all those incoming notifications. So they free up plenty of memory and stuff. But other good stuff, I like the display. You know, the camera, I said in the review that not the best experience, although it's not the worst either. Like I said, if your lighting is good, then you can expect to see some good shots. But on the other hand, I thought that it produces a lot of light. So if you're in a sunny location, God forbid, you know, there's sun sort of in the shot or sort of like behind some shade, like a tree, pictures kind of look really blown out. So I had some problems there. Other stuff, fingerprint reader, very nice and fast. Same experience as you'd find on a 6P or the Huawei P9. So I like that. What else was good, man? The overall design, super nice. I love the
nice
glass. Yeah, I love the glass build. It looks great. It's got USB Type-C. It's got expandable storage. It's got a headphone jack because Honor has no courage. What else there? It's got a fantastic price. $400, $399. I think it's even on sale right now on Honor's website, and you can always find it like on sale through Amazon. So
yeah. Earlier this week, Amazon had it for like $350.
Yeah, so you can't complain about that.
Actually, B&H Photo and Newegg had it for $350, and they were tossing in like $150 pair of headphones with it.
Yeah, so definitely no complaints there in terms of the price or anything like that. Have you ever played with the Honor 8?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
See, I think you would really like it because the size is almost like something you would really appreciate.
It's like 5.2-inch display or something, right?
Yeah, 5.2
and
inch
it looks
display.
even smaller. I don't know why I think it looks smaller, but it just looks like a small, compact, nice device. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And that was my overall impression of it. And I did a video review as my first full-length video review, and I was happy with it. And I hope everyone else is too.
Yeah, it turned out great. Yeah, it turned out great.
Yeah, the Honor 8. The speaker on it, not too good. I wanted to say that. The speaker is not too good. It's a single bottom-facing speaker. Not the best on the market. Yeah.
I think Honor and Huawei phones next year is when they're getting EMUI. I don't even know what to call that. I think 5.0 comes out next year.
Yeah,
It actually may come out this year on the P9 Mate. No, Mate 9. Mate. I don't know, whatever that. They have a new phone coming out in like a month. It may come out then, but either way, I've heard 5.0 is supposed to be actually usable, but that's one of those things where like I'll believe it when I see it.
Exactly. For now, I mean they call this as their first US flagship. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have water resistance, so toss it out the window. It's no good. But it does some things very well. However, software, like I said in my review, you have to relearn Android a little bit. There's a lot of cool little features. Like, for example, no matter what launcher you're using, the phone's display can differentiate between a finger tap and your knuckle. Like, that's cool, man. So with your knuckle, you can just draw an M. and it will open up the music app. Maybe, I don't know, the phone's acting janky right
And
now.
can you use the fingerprint reader to swipe on, or did you just
Yeah,
say
you
that?
can use the fingerprint reader to swipe down on notifications, which is definitely a neat little feature. You can double tap on it to do different actions, and
Super handy.
there's some super handy stuff. It's super cool. Now, if they built that stuff on top of stock Android, that'd be really cool, but it's just not happening
Yeah.
apparently. I love that these companies want to differentiate and that stuff, but I think they already did that with the hardware, right? It's so
Huawei
nice.
makes great hardware. I still will say that the
I agree.
P9 hardware is one of the nicest
Yep.
pieces of phone I've ever used.
And I would totally agree with that. Now, if the P9 came with stock Android,
Right.
dude, they'd sell out of that thing. I'm telling you.
Here's
Such
a
nice
here's kind
hardware.
of a depressing thought.
Uh,
So there's an initial report that Google had worked with Huawei to make these Pixel phones that are coming out, right? And Huawei said, no, we don't want to do that because you don't want our brand anywhere on there and all that stuff, right? So then they settled with HTC to make them. So this is the year that they made that phone you have and the P9, which we both love the hardware. So we could have gotten some sort of variant of that in the new Pixel phones. And you could have had it. You could have had that phone as a stock Android Google device, but instead
that would
we
have been the
got
one.
HTC's version, which is fine. I played with them; they're fine. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, that phone is very slim and metallic and just overall very nice in hand. But yeah, Huawei is doing big things. I think they've proved to a lot of people that they can make hardware for sure. And I think they definitely proved that with the Nexus 6P. I think a lot of people were, I mean, we thought they were a Chinese spy company, I think, for the longest time. No one even knew how to pronounce their name. Now everyone knows Huawei, right? So
I feel like their name is actually recognizable now. Yeah.
for
There
sure.
was a time, remember when they made the commercial that was, how do you say Huawei?
Huawei. Yeah. It's sort of embarrassing, but that's okay
Yeah.
because a lot of people did not know how to say it. So
And they still don't really
Huawei.
have a presence in the US, right? They're not on any carriers.
Nope.
Honor, it's called Honor because they're scared their name doesn't mean anything here. So they don't even call that a Huawei phone. They call it the Honor. They
Honor.
call it their E brand or whatever. And yeah, so they don't even really push Huawei in the US, which they keep trying to do. They just can't do it for some reason.
Right. So
Maybe
more
because people are scared.
more power to them. The Honor 8's it's a darn good start, and I bet if they made like a larger model, or the Honor 9, whenever that may come out, that could be pretty sweet.
People have talked a lot about Samsung taking, a huge hit with this Note 7 stuff and who's going to step up and take advantage. If Huawei had a compelling device in the US on a carrier right now, I would almost argue it would be them because they have money to blow, to brand, to market, to do all that stuff, and the hardware's as nice, and they're trying to kind of be a version of Samsung, but you can't buy their phones anywhere, so they kind of missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, Project Fi. For Project Fi fans or those interested, they now have a group plan. It's like a family plan, up to 6 people, and it's the same Fi that where you pay a base price and then you add on 1 gig data at a time. You only pay what you use for. You only pay for what you use. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
It still starts first line at $20, and then every line after that's just 15. And still $10 per gig. And you can control everything via the app, show who's using how much data, all of that stuff. It looks nice. We've talked about this a lot. Neither of us think Fi is the cheapest option, and it uses, 3 not amazing networks. Not that I use T-Mobile a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's probably the carrier I use the most, but I also live in a city. I don't know that Fi would be great for someone in my hometowns in Montana. But yeah, the group plan's out. If you have a family or you needed a family plan, you can now get on Fi, and probably won't be that expensive, assuming you don't use a lot of data. I don't like. Part of me really wants to try Fi, but I look at it and I go, I just don't know that it's that cheap compared to what I'm doing with T-Mobile at the moment. Maybe it is. Maybe with the Pixel phones, I should give it a shot.
It's really going to depend on how much data you're going through, right? If you're someone who goes through, you want 10 gigs, then you're looking at $100 plus the connection fee. So what is it, like $125 a month? So that can be expensive, but again, I mean, you're getting access to 3 networks, I guess. So that's kind
Yeah.
of cool. And smart Wi-Fi, like assist features and all that. And plus, Google's support is just second to none.
Yeah, I think
I,
probably
I
what's
love
held
talking to
back
them.
is the device support, right? It was either Nexus 6, 5X, 6P. Now it'll be the Pixel and
Right.
Pixel XL, but I've been using a Galaxy
Other
S7.
phones,
Yeah, I've
right?
been using other phones, so I haven't even been able to use it, but
We got
I,
to give it a try for the Pixel. Just do it for 1 month. I
just do it
mean,
for a
there's no
month on a Pixel.
contract or anything. Just try it, and if you don't even use it, you get your money back.
I
So,
believe I still have a Fi line active. It's just paused,
uh,
I think.
yeah,
Every once in a while it turns back on and I can't ever figure out why. And they send me like a $20 bill and then I pause it again.
yeah.
I don't know. There's group plans though, so that's something.
I've got the worst timing ever. I've got UPS standing at my door because I think they need a signature for a delivery. So I'm gonna let you talk about Amazon Music Unlimited, and I will be right back.
Yeah, sure, go for it. I feel like Tim and I have done a lot of package grabbing in the last couple of days. Um, yeah, so you guys don't seem to be super fans of Fi. I think, like I said, the big problem for me is just the device support. I change phones all the time, and so I swap SIMs a lot. And changing phones throughout a year, Google only releases a couple or 1, 2 new phones a year at one time. So it's not like I can really keep swapping my Fi SIM around. So that's partly my problem. But obviously, I'm not a normal consumer because I review phones all the time. But I don't know. Maybe I'll give Fi a shot now that Pixels come out because I have this feeling, and I don't want to like dive way too ahead of myself here, but that the Pixel phones, they may be the phones to get this year. Now that the Note 7 is dead, and I know we talked about a lot about this, they just might be the phones to get. All right. So as Tim still comes back, Amazon did indeed launch a new music service this week. It is called Amazon Music Unlimited. So this is different from Prime Music. So if you're an Amazon Prime user, you get music with your Prime. And for those of you who have tried to ever listen to music through Prime, you know that it's pretty limited. There's not actually they should call it Music Limited, and now they have Music Unlimited. But it was it had give you access to music on Amazon's catalog, but it was just a super limited catalog. So they announced Music Unlimited, and it's just like Google's service. It's just like Apple's service. It's like Spotify. It's a lot like all these other music services. It starts at $9.99 per month if you're not a Prime member. And if you are a Prime member, it's $7.99 per month. And then if you don't want to go full on Amazon Music Unlimited, you own like an Echo or an Echo Dot or Amazon Tap, you can sign up for a $3.99 plan that just allows you to play it through like a single device. And then they said there's a family plan coming soon, and it'll be $14.99. So the prices are exactly like everyone else's. I will say that I signed up for the Echo plan because we have an Echo in our kitchen, and my wife often likes to just fire up music on that because she can do it with her voice, right? Because we still don't have Google Home, and it never plays anything she wants, so she gets mad.
Tell me about it.
So I signed us up for $3.99 because I think the first 30 days is a trial. It's like a free trial. So if you sign up, you get 30 days for free to see if you want to use it. And the $3.99 per month is pretty cheap, assuming we use it. And it's kind of stupid because we have Chromecast speakers all over and we could just play through that. But she still doesn't want to pull out her phone. She likes to just listen to Amazon Echo. So anyway, that's Music Unlimited, and the catalog is supposed to be tens of millions of songs, and it's supposed to be a real music service. I haven't played with it a ton to see, but they have curated, hand-picked playlists and all of that stuff, just like everyone else. So
Do they offer a trial like for that $3.99 one or whatever? Because I just want to use it on my Echo until Google Home arrives.
yeah, so I believe the first 30 days are free. All you do is walk up to your
Nice.
Echo and say, "Hey, the
Hey.
name." I don't want to. Well, I have one. I have
Oh
like an
yeah, we
Echo
don't
Dot
want
right here, and I don't
to.
really want to sign up again. So you say, "Hey, Alexa," right? And you say,
She knows what you're saying.
and you say, "Sign up for the Music Unlimited trial," or something like that. If you go to Amazon's site and look at it, it'll tell you what you're supposed to say. And then she says, "Okay, you want to sign up? It's a 30-day trial, and then we'll bill you after this, but you can cancel at any time." And I'd imagine all you have to do is say like, "Hey, cancel," and then she would probably cancel.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, I think it's 30 days for free, so you might as well give it a shot.
Yeah, definitely. That's worth every penny because, like, I think we talked about this last week. I was like, dude, I mean, I tried to play Freebird and it gave me a free version, like the free live version. No one wants the live version. Like, I want the old school classic studio version of Freebird. Thank you very much.
Well, you might be able to do that now.
I will.
I haven't tried to play that, so I don't know. Yeah. So there's also a new Amazon Music app, which has been refreshed and should work and all of that stuff. But yeah, I really think the selling point is if you own an Echo or something, $3.99 per month, then you can have it. If you don't have, other speakers around, you've invested in one of those. But I'm also not going to tell anyone to go invest in an Amazon Echo when Google Home is coming in hopefully a few weeks, because Google Home will probably give you a better overall experience. Maybe. All right. Finally, last sort of short topic. Verizon introduced a new data feature this week. They didn't announce it, which is kind of odd, but a reader sent it to us after I think it had made some rounds in forums. And it is called Pop Data. And so Pop Data is when you are in a situation where you need lots of data and you don't want to use your data bucket, you can pay either for 30-minute or 60-minute sessions, and those are $2 and $3 respectively. And during those times, you can use as much data as you want. It doesn't count. That means like you download all the movies you want, stream whatever you want, anything you need. Well, you can't hotspot it, but anything on your phone. And all you do is go into your My Verizon app. There's a Pop Data thing. And when you click on it, it essentially checks the network where you're located to see if it's okay for you to just go hammer on the network. And then once you get going, it'll then work. I don't know that there's a guarantee during your 30 or 60 minutes that it will be an awesome network experience. Like, I don't know what happens if all of a sudden a wave of traffic comes onto the network and it crashes. That you're still probably on the hook for your $2 or $3. But it definitely checks the network first to make sure you can even do it. So I'd imagine if you're in a major city during the day, it's probably not, you're probably not going to get on these things a lot. I'm not really sure, but I don't know what to think about these things. Did you read this Pop Data thing?
Yeah, and
is it a good feature? Is it a terrible thing?
No, I find it offensive. I think FCC needs to come down like hard. I think it's ridiculous. It's sad. It's pathetic, is what it is.
You know what's odd is I have an unlimited data plan, and they let me sign up for these things.
Oh my god!
Like, if you look at the screenshots, those are my screenshots in the article I wrote.
Oh really? Oh man.
Yeah, you can see it says like data unlimited up at the top, and then if you move over, you can tell like I was able to. I obviously didn't go through and do it, but it was gonna let me sign up for one.
So again, I think that is offensive. Okay, so like I get it. Actually, they're probably sitting around the boardroom and stuff. They're like, okay, time to get that annual juices flowing so we can get some more money. This idea makes plenty of sense. Okay, how about we give people access, like full and limited access for a very limited amount of time for just like a little fee. And right, it makes sense because it is such a small fee. You're like, okay, $2 for 30 minutes, $3 for 60 minutes. That's a good idea. Maybe someone's getting on a flight. They want to download that movie or a couple of TV episodes. It makes sense. But at the same time, there's something about it that seems extremely sort of just not fishy, but just wrong. And
you're already paying for access to our network, but if you want better access,
I guess you could call it better access for sure. But then again, so a lot of times I try to think of the use cases, right? And every use case that I came up with, like the airport or somewhere else, there's probably going to be Wi-Fi in these areas.
Not fast though.
It depends. Plus, Verizon's network, yeah, I know it's #1 most reliable or whatever, but at least in my experience, like I haven't had awesome Verizon connectivity speeds, data speeds.
I still don't, yeah.
And that differs everywhere, of course. Right. So maybe if you're in an area where you're seeing, 70 megs down for Verizon, that's fantastic. But it's just not really ever been my experience. Ever since they sort of released LTE, I've never had like awesome Verizon speed. So as for Pop Data, if I was a Verizon employee or if I was a Verizon executive, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is legit. This was a good idea. John needs a promotion over there.
I
But
just wonder if they're not embarrassed of it, but they didn't announce this thing. Like somebody sent it to us and said, "Look, it's live on their site." And we went in and found it and we wrote it up and we were the first news outlet in the world, I think, to write this thing up. And now other people have come at it, but we're the ones that started spreading the word, and now some other outlets have. And I think I saw like Fierce Wireless or something sourced us on it, and then they did reach out to Verizon, and Verizon said, "Yeah, that's a real thing." But like, why would you not announce this thing? Why would you just sort of shuffle it onto your website and then not talk? Because otherwise, if they think this could be a huge future moneymaker for them, they sure as hell aren't acting like it is. It's almost like they kind of pushed it. Let's just maybe see how it goes. I don't know. It's so weird.
I think maybe because Verizon is, no matter what Verizon does, it seems like people get pissed these days. Like they can't announce a new service or anything. Well, that's because typically every new service they announce somehow screws the customer. But I think they're just trying to be careful, maybe from like the PR side of things, like and how they announce things that cost money. Like, I mean, this thing, it sounds like what you're doing is paying for, right, like you said, better access to from your existing plan. It just seems really odd. And I think those fees are so low to where it's maybe people don't think it's that bad, but all those little fees add up, and they add up to be quite a bit. So I think people need to be careful when they're using their pop data. But it's typical for Verizon.
The origin of this is the fact that they have these crappy data buckets, right? That no one can use. They're scared they're going to go over and have to pay more and all this stuff. So that's like, because they created this world where we no longer have unlimited data, they get to create things like this to try to get more money out, which is kind of I think the worst part about it.
Yeah, it's the nickel and diming of everyone, that it just gets sort of repetitive, at least from Verizon, and I think we're all tired of it.
I would say I think it's at least nice to have the option in case you are ever in a situation where you need to, and you don't want to just kill your whole data bucket.
Sure.
But at the same time, yes, it seems stupid that we need to pay an extra little $2 or $3 fee just to use some data because we don't want to kill our bucket. Like we shouldn't have buckets to begin with.
Yeah, no buckets. Do away with the bucket.
All right, that's all I got for topics. You got any apps or anything?
I got one app I want to talk about. And I'm also trying to think if I even talked about this last week. I may have, but it's called Giphy Cam or Jiffy Cam. I guess it would have to be Giphy Cam. I think
it's got to be Giphy Cam, right?
But technically, it should be Jiffy Cam.
That's so. I've always called it Giphy Cam.
Yeah, me too. Know. But I think it should be Jiffy Cam. Anyway, like Jiffy Pop. Anyway, if I didn't talk about this last week, I'm going to explain it. If I did talk about it last week, I'm very sorry. But Jiffy Cam allows you to create GIFs or GIFs more easily on your smart device. For example, if I just have a video of myself that I think is funny, or I want to record a funny video of myself and GIFify that, you can really easily do it with Giphy Cam. It accesses the camera, and so you can record your video and then add things on top of it, like a crying Jordan meme or kittens playing with fireworks or something. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. And then once you have created it, you can also add filters. Once you have created it, you can easily share it through social media like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And it's like a fun thing to play with. If you have like a young kid who does funny stuff and you want to put something like a funny prop inside of the video and to make it look like he's playing with it or something, it's just a lot of fun stuff you can do. So, and for the longest times, GIFs have been very inaccessible, I think, in terms of making them, right? Like you had to know how to make a GIF. Now, anyone and their grandmother can make a GIF, and they're a lot of fun, right? Like GIFs have taken over the internet. Like if you want to express something, there's a GIF for it. So I say download Giphy Cam. Let everyone know that it is pronounced Jiffy Cam and not Giphy Cam. And
I say Giphy Cam.
Yeah. I'm going to hit up Jiffy and see how they pronounce it in the office, just so we can get like a final judgment on it.
Was See, I call them Giphy.
Me too.
Were they around before the determination was made that it is GIF?
They had to have been. They've been around
So,
for a long time.
yeah, what did they call themselves initially? And what did they call themselves now? Are they Jiffy or are they Giphy?
I would hope it's Giphy, but I've got to technically assume that it's Jiffy. I mean, if the creator says GIF, then
I got a video.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, they totally say Giphy.
Yeah, well, it's got to be Giphy then.
I think we have proof.
Of course it's Giphy, but like the fact is it needs to be Jiffy.
All right, listening one more time.
All right.
Yeah, this little promo video, I just put it in the chat. They say, this is Giphy.
Interesting. Well, maybe we should get Ken Bones' take on this, because we'll ask him how he pronounces GIF or GIF, and then he can be the final deciding factor. Let us know, Bone Zone, if it's a GIF or GIF. I only listen to Ken now.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Good old Kenny. Kenny Bone.
Creator made it with a J, but Giphy brought it back, and it is a G.
Okay, Giphy brought it back. That's good.
I'm gonna call it Giphy. I've always called it Giphy and Giphy Cam. When you were just explaining it, like, wait, is it Jiffy Cam? It just threw me off. I can't go there. It's not. It's Giphy Cam.
Jiffy Pop, Giphy Pop. Getting Giphy with it.
Getting Giphy. All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
Man, I felt like there was. Real quick. Anyone who's like a monster movie fan, I saw the new Shin Godzilla, which is just Japanese new Godzilla Resurgence, aka. So awesome. If you like those old school Toho Godzilla movies, like 60s, 70s and stuff, dude, you can't go wrong. This movie is legit. You've got to see it. There's very limited showings in the US, but if you can see it, check it out. I promise you're gonna have a good time. That's all I had to say.
Oh, Godzilla.
Dude, it's so good.
Tim and I are about to be hit with a massive windstorm this weekend in Portland. So if we don't show up on Monday, it's probably because we don't have power.
Yeah. Someone said, I don't know, maybe they just misspelled my name, said you got to get out more. Dude, I get out all the time. What are you talking about? I'm always outside.
Yeah, me too.
I just love movies. My bad.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Next week, big week. We will try to do a show next week because it's Pixel launch week, all of that stuff. There's going to be a lot going on next week. So, yeah, stick with us. We're Droid Life. Peace.
Bye-bye.